This is what where school was invented. School was invented by the Prussian Empire, and it was basically because their fucking soldiers weren't willing to fight for them. They used to fucking run off the battlefields because they were basically just these conscripted, drafted armies by some fucking king who they were like, fuck this guy, I don't want to fight and die for him. So they'd run away. And they were like, this isn't working. And the plan they came up with was, we got to get them when they're young and really propagandize them into worshiping the state and believing that the most noble thing you could do is sacrifice yourself for the state. And back then, there wasn't even this bullshit illusion of democracy. It wasn't like, well, we are the people and the people are the government, and this nonsense they try to teach you now. Back then, it was a king. It was just like, we're a monarchy. So it really took some propaganda to make someone think that, you are, you should happily sacrifice your life for this king. And so they were like, we got to grab these people and start to propagandize them. And Horace Mann, who's the godfather of education, as they call him in America, he adopted the Prussian model. This is what school is. This is where it comes from. This is why it's not education, it's schooling. And if you even think about it, today it's like, this is what it's all about, propagandizing you to just fucking think that's Saddam's army. So who gives a shit if we slaughter them? You don't think about it like that's some fucking 16-year-old who was fucked. Like, he was just fucked over. He was born into a situation far worse than me, and I would have been doing the same thing if I was in his shoes, because otherwise he'd kill my family. So yeah, that's what it is. So even when you think about it, it's like, literally, what do? They line you up in desks and have you take a pledge of allegiance to the state. And we just think of this as so normal, but that's not normal, man. Like, that's some weird brainwashing shit. They line up, I'll give this example. I know I've said this before on the show, but it's always worth repeating. It's the Tom Woods analogy, which is so great. And he uses Walmart as the example, which is great because it just really gets the people on the left particularly who hate Walmart so much. But he goes, let's just imagine Walmart ran all the schools and Walmart took your kids from age 5 and Walmart sat them down in desks, and every morning they had to pledge allegiance to Walmart. And then they looked around the room, and there were pictures of all the Walmart CEOs on the room, and they just made up these stories about the Walmart, like the first Walmart CEO never told a lie, and he got caught chopping down a cherry tree, and he was like, yes, Dad, it was me, and it was so great. And then like you'd literally sit there, and all they'd be like, the way they teach you, like, how a bill becomes a law. They'd be like, let's tell you how a Walmart product gets on the shelf and all this fucking shit. And you were looking at that, and wouldn't you be like, no, this is fucking sick. Like, this is sick. I'm not sending my kid to this Walmart brainwashing factory. But that's exactly what public school is for the state. It's exactly that. But we have a blind spot for the state. Like, somehow them doing it isn't so bad. And that's the whole thing about everything. It's like, if I was just like, I've decided I don't like people who smoke cigarettes. So I built a cage in my basement, and I got a gun, and I'm going to go fucking kidnap them and hold them in my cage for 10 years at a time for smoking cigarettes. You'd all be like, okay, this guy's a fucking monster who should probably be killed because he's kidnapping and torturing people. But if the state does that with marijuana, then we're just kind of like, well, I think maybe we should have reform or something, But it's like, it's a little bit more than that. It's like, no, these are evil sociopaths who are doing really fucked up shit. So, it's all, it's a weird fucking world we live in.